Thank you. Okay, so from a meeting with farmers in Iowa to taking over the pulpit at a black church in South Carolina, Mayor Bill de Blasio made the most of his first 2 campaign stops in key battleground states.
Great to see you. How you doing today?
All right, Pix 11's Henry Rossoff caught up with the mayor while he was actually campaigning in South Carolina, and Henry is joining us this morning fresh off that visit to South Carolina. Henry, good to have you here on the Morning News this morning.
Great to be here.
So first thing first is, of course, name recognition. I think that is the struggle for Bill de Blasio,
and he does not have much right now.
So what did you see in South Carolina?
Well, I saw in South Carolina, and it's what we saw in Iowa off the news feeds, was he was drawing dozens, not say hundreds or thousands. For example, Bernie Sanders was up the road at the same time drawing thousands, perhaps 2,000 or 3,000. And he was mainly trying to court African-American voters, particularly in South Carolina. And what was striking is he spoke less about criminal justice. And there's a good criminal justice story, as you guys know, to tell here in New York. I mean, arrests are down, crime is down. He campaigned on ending stop and frisk, and it's mostly gone away. Talked about mainly economic and social justice issues. And that played reasonably well, but there wasn't a lot of people to play to, frankly.
Oh, I think a big argument, too, especially back here at home, is, wait a second, you're out here campaigning to be president, very little name recognition. Why don't you stay focused on what you need to do as mayor here? So is he in contact? How's that going?
I asked him that question pretty point blank. I asked him how many times has he spoken with commissioners? Has he spoken with his first deputy mayor? First Deputy Mayor Foulahan is essentially running the city over the weekend, although the mayor would make an argument otherwise. He didn't answer my question directly by saying, hey, I spoke 5 times here and 5 times here, and I'm on top of the Times Square billboard fire, for example, over the weekend. We did say multiple times every day, this is what I do. I've traveled before. We've heard this refrain from him before. He says he can walk and chew gum at the same time, and it'll be left to voters and city council members to decide.
So it's interesting. He announces he's running for president. He immediately says, I've been calling President Trump con Don for a while now, which I've never heard him say before he announced he was running for president. Let's actually listen first, and then we'll talk more about this.
It's a time for Democrats to be a lot clearer and a lot blunter that we're on the side of working people. And we have to mix it up with Trump.
That was actually the wrong soundbite because we were talking about con Don here. So let's talk about this tit for tat here. Did that resonate with voters in South Carolina?
It was the definition of a mixed bag. I don't mean to be cliche, but some voters absolutely loved it. I mean, it was a big applause line for about half the room, and some voters absolutely hated it. They told him point blank, and we'll show you an example of this in 2 seconds here, to knock it off, stop the tit for tat, stop the social media back and forth. Take a listen. It was some of the best sound from voters that we got down in South Carolina.
Mr. Bill, you need to get busy because the people got some concerns, and I'm not concerned about Trump right now. I'm concerned about you.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't respect the tit for tat.
You hear it. You hear it in their voices.
Yeah, they were frustrated. The second woman there phrased it more as a warning. The first woman there is actually a Columbia City Council woman. And it wasn't a warning, it was a lecture. I mean, it was in the middle of the, I'm out here and I'm meeting with voters and isn't this great? And she interrupted everything to say, knock it off.
Yeah. All right, so he did cross some paths with a contender. How did that go?
Does anything say crowded Democratic presidential field?
They're all bumping into each other.
Accidentally bumping into a contender. Yeah, Andrew Yang was there. And his main policy platform, as some people may or may not know, is universal basic income. Essentially, he wants to give everyone a stipend to live off of. And they had a nice moment. I asked each of them individually if they had anything to say about the other. And this is what most candidates are saying at this point. It's too early. I'm not going to stack up. I just want to meet voters. That's the line you're getting from everyone from Bernie Sanders to Joe Biden all the way.
Yang had been the only person that was supposed to visit that location, and then de Blasio added his name very last minute.
That is correct. It was this was a point of contention. It was a regularly scheduled meeting of the South Carolina Black Caucus. That's state leaders of African-American descent in South Carolina. And then de Blasio kind of added his name to the speaking list, but it was a regularly scheduled meeting.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
all
Henry.
Right.
Good to have you here this morning.